Welcome to the writings of Patrick S. Smith.
Hello, all. Just another update on what's going on. Sorry I missed last week. It was a rough time of things. Since the last video, one of our cats, Elijah, was struck by a car and killed, and kind of left a bit of a downer on the house. So he's missed. He was a bobtail, about a year and a half, 2 years old. And one of the cats I tolerated. I'm not a cat person, but I'm not going to abuse a cat either. And he had a personality I could tolerate because it was a lot of I'm just going to do my thing and leave you alone. Which, strangely, as most cats, he wasn't over demanding. When he was in the mood, he'd let you love on him, and if not, it was okay. That's fine. So like I say, that kind of left a dampener on things and killed my mood to be creative. And then this past weekend, multiple whammy type deal. Kathy fell Thursday night, and because she tripped over something in the bedroom, fell and landed on her shoulder, and it would be the shoulder that she injured several years ago, and had to have rotator cuff surgery, I think it was, or had to have surgery to repair. So she re-injured that. Fortunately, I had to take her to the hospital and whatnot, but fortunately no tears, no breakage, anything of that nature. It's just sore. So and here we are a week later, and she's still sore, not in pain. That's the good news on that. Just sore if she moves it the wrong way or puts too much force out with her arm. She feels it. So, but she is getting better in that respect. Now she's back on nights, so she's not going to appear in this video. We are trying to pencil in for the next one, and trying to pencil in to do multiple videos with her, so that when I do my updates, she can talk about the books she's devoured in the last, what, she could easily do a video a week herself on just the book she's devoured. She reads that much. So there's that. Status updates. To start with, the Stafford building has finally been published in Eldritch Science. It's a subscription online magazine, but it doesn't cost anything. You just got to sign up. That was published since the last video, I think the week after I published the video. And I'll drop a link to it in the description below. So, my fourth story in a year. I'm really pleased. For me, with the pace I write at and how long it takes me to do the revisions and everything, and I'm going, I got 4 out in a year. I'm really making progress in some respects. And that doesn't count, the 2 others that I self-published along the way this year. So, 6 a year, okay. And I could have probably, if I had spent some time on some other things, I think I could have gotten a couple more. But it's just getting focused and being able to do things well that way. I had finished up a couple weeks ago to name the series and set it aside to do editing, and in the meantime I was going to work on The Brides of War, which I was, and was getting very close to getting the first section done. And I went back and looked at it and realized it had gone off the rails. Parts were going off into the weeds. I was opening up too many threads. It was just a mess. And got to looking at the storyboard, and the storyboard for it was rather weak. So, setting it aside, gone back to the storyboard, redone that, and I think I've got something much better. I've got a few elements I got to go in and make sure I flesh out, and when I write and clean up. So, I think once I get back to it, I'll be able to really dive into it much better than what I was, because it was I had, like I said, I had a storyboard before, but it was thin, it was weak, and it was really easy to come off the rails. Um, but speaking of editing, I did do, or storyboarding, let me stay on storyboarding for a moment. I've nearly completed a storyboard for Apples, and I've started some notes for a story uh, that the working title is um, Just a Name. And that's all I'm going to say on it. And both are, more World of Olith Sears stories. Um, so get to see that. But these two, I want to kind of work together because there's a certain mindset I think I need to be in. In Apples, the Cirrus is a bitch. I'm just going to call it the way I want her to be. I want her to be a bitch. And then with Just a Name, or Just a Name, the Cirrus is going to be. She's going to be the anti-hero, you could say. She's not going to be the one that you're rooting for in this one. So and that'll be a change, but it will also help set up and explain things down the road with the Cirrus and her line. I am editing Naming the Cirrus. I've actually gotten through one full round and got notes to make in the second round. Upshot, and this is the weird twisted thing, how life goes at times, especially in this chaotic house. The night Kathy fell, I had just finished editing one portion of the story, and it's where the Cirrus injures her shoulder. Kind of ironic that happened, but because it was actually works out because Kathy was able to go in and alpha read, beta read, call it what you will there. That section, make sure I got certain things right about it, and because the Cirrus's injury is different than what Kathy's had before with her shoulder, but it was still there's a certain commonality there. She was able to say, yeah, you're on track with. So, and that was the big thing. Still I think after this round, I may actually see about trying to get some actual beta readers since it's getting that close. I'll have to go sit back down and after this next round and read it to find out. And the last one I've started to revise, or at least looked at, and I'm on the fence for about some things, is a story called Birthday. If you know anything about some of the previous Cirrus stories, you know that Amber had 5 daughters, and in fact, if you've read Things My Mother Never Told Me, you'll realize, Darrigal there, who's Amber's second daughter, she has other sisters. They're not all mentioned in Things My Mother Never Told Me, and they're just mentioned that, hey, and the only other mention is Amber had 5 daughters. So, but this is about Amber's first daughter, Zemra, and the middle sister, Gamidi, because it's Gamidi's birthday, or at least her 16th birthday is coming up, and as a tradition, they always went into town, just not on any specific mission or anything, but just to walk around, try to interact with people in a normal fashion. And it was the birthday girl's day, so it is centered around that. However, with the Cirrus and her daughters, things never work out that way, and so I think and hopefully you get to insight on some of the other groups in the world of Olith and how they interact, or not necessarily interact, but who these groups are to a degree. And last weekend, things slipped away, partially because I'm still trying my hand at artwork. I don't think I'm going to ever be a major player in artwork. It's not going to be a strong suit for me, but I would at least want to get to the point where I can do thumbnails for the blog, for the short stories, and do a full concept cover for books. That way I can go to an artist and say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what the book's about, and talk with them on that, and give them a visual of what I'm thinking. But I know I'm smart enough to realize, hey, once I start talking about it and what the book is about, artists are going to get their own concepts and might be something radically different than what I have. Now, there's certain elements I would may like in them, and they can take it. So we'll see how that goes. But it's just to try something to talk, be able to strike up the conversation. What I want it to be. And the other one I'm still working on is the Stafford building's thumbnail. Now, if you go on the blog, you'll see that there's already a black and white thumbnail of an old building on there. And yeah, that works, but that's not what I visualized. And I want to go in, and that's something else. I don't want to keep going out on the internet and grabbing photos that are shareware, public domain, free use, whatever. I want it my own, like I say, even if it is I go talk to, commission an artist and talk with them and say, hey, this is what I was envisioning. So there is that. But yeah, I'm working on the Stafford. I've got the facade of the building done. That was a lot of work. So now it's going in and adding details like, I don't know, what do I need to add? I need to add doors, I need to add windows, I got to add certain trim elements, background, that sort of thing. It's just going to be piecemeal, and each element is going to take time getting done, and it's just not in my wheelhouse. But hopefully, like I say, next week, next weekend, I plan on trying to do the video or do the next video. May have to wait a week. Try to also, like I said, get Kathy involved in, or get Kathy to do 2 or 3 books. That way I've got one in the back pocket for a video when she's not available. Because, reading and writing is in this family. I'm still, I think, because she was talking with me the other night when I was storyboarding one of the two, I think I was finishing up the storyboard for Brides of War. And it was, she wanted to know why I was writing, and because I had a different tool up than my normal word processor, and so I think if I can get her to storyboard things, just jot down notes how she wants it to progress and whatnot, and maybe then I can get her involved in writing to a degree, because I think she is. Reading wise, she says she watches a movie in her head when she reads. So I'm going, well, reverse that. Play the movie in your head, now write it down. And she's mentioned before that she does that, or she's tried that, at least played the movie in her head. It's just it plays too fast for her to jot down, to write it. Now I'm like, well, maybe if she sees a storyboard and gets an idea of things and how it goes, she'll try that, and then they'll give me more material to write. Oh boy, that's what I need. But yeah, because I would like to bring her in and let her come up with some stories for Cafe Rose. So that's about it for now. Don't forget, I do have Tales of the Seers Volume 1 and The Chaos of Me available on Amazon. The audio of The Chaos of Me is on Spotify and Audible. So please check them out. pick up a copy. We're a month and a week out from Christmas, and books make good gifts. Y'all take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. You can find more of my books on Amazon.com. Also, you can find more of my stories and poems at patricssmithauthor.wordpress.com. The links are in the description. Thank you.